Elentila Lumeno Mentielvo. Welcome to Tolkien on Tap. I'm TJ. Grab a drink and enjoy. Almien. Welcome to Tolkien on Tap. I'm TJ. Today, I've got some special guests. I've got the artist formerly known as Glamdring, or still known as Glamdring. Scott, how you doing tonight, Scott?
Doing all right. Doing all right.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into Tolkien?
I mean, well, the icebreakers are always kind of fun. I got
You
how
got
I
to
got
come
into
back. We
Tolkien.
skip over the icebreakers when you come back.
Uh, so, I got into Tolkien. I guess probably. I mean, in a similar way as everybody did. I was into Dungeons and Dragons and all that kind of fun stuff. And
Nerd.
totally, I mean,
No,
absolutely,
it's all good.
100%.
I've played it
And I
twice.
actually read the D&D novels first.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I moved out to West Texas and hung out at a really cool game store out there. It was a man, a little pearl to find in a crap town. But and I was talking about one of the stories. It was the Dritz Do'Urden series and all that kind of stuff. And I had no idea how much Tolkien was ripped off from, in D&D.
Yeah.
And because like in that series, they are trying to find Mithril Hall for the dwarf and retake it and all this kind of stuff. And then some big baddie thing that nobody knew what it was had killed all the dwarves in there, and it was a dragon. It was like a shadow dragon thing. And so and they were like, "It's just such a ripoff." And I'm like, "All right, fine, whatever." Well, and then I read Lord of the Rings and the Fellowship, and I was like, "Oh, all that." I mean, it's kind of like I saw Highlander 2 first, and I was glad I saw it first before I saw the second one because it just came on HBO. And so
Wait,
I'm
wait,
glad I
wait, wait.
read
There's
those
more
other
than
things.
one? I thought there could
Yeah,
only
I
be
mean, all
one.
right. So I'm
So
glad I
this is such
read
a
those
stupid
books.
joke.
Yeah, I know. I'm glad I read those books first so I could
Hmm.
really enjoy them. And I still enjoyed them even after,
Yeah.
but it's not the same. And so once I read The Fellowship, I was just hooked.
Hmm.
And you know, um, that's really just how I got into it, just through other nerd stuff, you
How old
know.
were you when you read the books? However you look at them.
23, 23.
I thought you said you were three. I was like, that's a big read for a
No,
3-year-old.
yeah,
What were you two
Prodigy.
playing D&D?
Yeah, I read the
Good God.
Silmarillion when I was three, and then no, no, I was 23, and
23.
so
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So it was a while
You came a
ago.
little you came a little later to it than a lot of people.
Yeah, well, y'all had the benefit of the movies when y'all were
The movies
much
weren't
younger.
out. The movies weren't out yet when I was younger. I mean, the first one came out when I was 16, and it was announced when I was like 13 or 14 that we were going to do it, and that's when I read the books. 'Cause
Right,
I read the books before the films even existed, but
right,
they were in production. So yeah.
right. This was 1996
Okay.
when I read them first. So yeah,
Okay. So like 3 years before Peter Jackson was like, "Hey, I'm gonna
right,
make a
yeah. So
yeah
I think a lot of people. I think it's cool that people get into it through the movies. Because at least you
yeah
have a mental conception of what it is. Because I thought when I saw the movies, all of their bitches about the movies aside, visually, I thought they nailed it. Right,
yeah."
like I thought it was super cool how the stuff looked, and
Hmm.
it felt kind of what I was imagining in my head, and
That's cool.
or had a good feel to it, I should say.
Hmm.
And so I think it's great that people come into it through the movies.
Yeah.
So,
And what are you drinking tonight, Scott?
though I am drinking, we talked about it on your live today, a ranch water.
Oh, you
So,
got them hard seltzers. Nice.
well, yeah, this is the hard. It's not a real ranch water. I mean, I do have some Topo
I don't
Chico
know
and some.
why ranch water makes me think that like someone just put water and ranch dressing together and mixed it up, and that just makes
Well,
me want to throw
no,
up so
it's
bad.
it's because it's a West Texas thing, and so the ranch is out there, and
Yeah,
the
that just shows you how Midwest I am.
Vaqueros.
You hear ranch and you think of like an actual ranch. I hear ranch and I'm like the dipping
The
sauce.
dressing,
It's not even a dressing up here. It's a dipping sauce.
the blue cheese knockoff. I'm gonna go ahead
Yeah,
and.
Oh,
yeah. And then also my other guest today, the impetus for the idea of today's episode. Super passionate about what we're going to talk about. Jane, how you doing, Jane?
I'm doing very well.
Introduce yourself. Let us know how you got into Tolkien, icebreakery things.
Yeah. So I was a kid. I shared this, I think, on Discord. But anyway, I read The Hobbit first when I was probably must have been like 8 years old. And some folks may recall there's a particular paperback edition which has like super creepy and horrifying Gollum in the background.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it was not a good first impression, but I did enjoy it. And after that, I read The Fellowship. My mom was a big fan in like the 70s, so I have her old paperbacks actually,
Oh,
or at least one of them. It's been
Yes, yes. I've got. Wait, which one is that?
it's
Fellowship?
been beaten to hell, of course.
that
It's
is
been
so cool.
loved.
There's my
One time when I
Fellowship,
was
also
reading it, a
beaten to
pressed
hell.
spider fell out, which was horrifying.
That was
She lived in
that's
the basement when she was a
what is
teenager.
that? What is that? Ungoliants.
Some
What
sort
is the
of,
what is the word? I can't think of the thing where it holds the page for you. Bookmark.
yeah,
She
yeah.
or Ungoliant using one of her
The
children as a
little
bookmark.
offspring. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
real
She would.
spiders, they do carry them on their backs and then eat the babies sometimes if they're hungry.
Right.
Which is horrible. But anyway, yes, I read this. And I was a fourth grader and I hadn't seen the films because they didn't exist yet. And I had no idea how the story went. And I got to the bit where I got to Shelob's lair. I thought Frodo was dead.
So,
Like I
yeah.
was I
Same.
was convinced he was dead. I
Hmm.
hadn't heard otherwise. There was no Frodo lives in my life. And I love Frodo very much. And so I was like, there's no point in continuing reading. Why would you do this? I hated Tolkien. I thought he was horrible for killing Frodo. My mom's like, no, 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 you have to keep reading. You have to keep going. And I'm like, no, I'm done. And I put them down and I didn't pick them up again for a year.
Oh wow.
And
Oh,
eventually, I
so you
think
had like the
somebody,
same experience between the Two Towers and Return of the King that like when it was published.
yeah, essentially, except I didn't quite finish the Two Towers. So I didn't even get to the end where Sam is like, oh no, I put it down before I even got to that. So I really thought Frodo was dead that whole year. And then somebody else in my class was reading it. I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll try finishing them. And
Hmm.
of course, I'm glad I did because Frodo's alive. Yay.
Frodo lives.
Frodo lives. So I was really happy. And after that, I just read them over and over again,
Yeah.
an unhealthy number of times. And the Silmarillion too, um, on
Impossible.
repeat. I had at some point I discovered that like I could recite large passages from memory without having like
Nice.
gone out to memorize it, which I can't do anymore because I filled
I
my
was gonna
brain with all
ask.
sorts of boring things.
I was
Um,
gonna ask for the circus
yeah,
trick.
I'm sorry, I can't repeat it. If I as a middle schooler, I was extremely awkward, and I could do
I
this
mean,
this
which
cool
one was
amazing
not?
thing. So
Everybody's
yeah,
awkward in middle school. It's
oh,
like a
Yeah.
requirement.
it's
Yeah.
painful. Yeah, but
Hmm.
of course, at that point, I had finished reading the Silmarillion. I was really super nerdy, and then the
Hmm.
films came out, and it was super awesome because then so many people discovered those
Had to be
books and they
so
read them.
validating.
It was
That
like,
had to,
yay, other
Yeah.
people
yeah.
like this. I taught my best friends to. I adapted the Tangwar script for English for myself, and then I
Nice.
taught my friends to write in it, and we would pass notes in class in that. It was pretty much indecipherable.
That's
It was great.
super. That's a level of nerdy I didn't get to that I'm actually really jealous that you were at that stage.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
it was really special. I was a
Yeah.
terrible, and my poor teachers. I mean, they didn't deserve that, but
Whatever.
well, it was fun, and it did spark like inspire everyone else in class
Yeah.
to cryptography. So there were all sorts of different codes being used.
Yeah. You're
So
over
we were
there
all very
doing like,
naughty.
well, yeah, but you're over there doing stuff that like requires like brain usage. You're not doing some like mundane, stupid kids task. You know what I mean? You're over there
Yeah,
like being a teacher in your own right. So
yes,
makes
it
sense.
was fun. It was
I guarantee you,
entertaining.
those teachers, when behind closed doors, were like, "This is pretty cool."
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
The literature
Poor
teacher
Mrs.
is like,
Smith.
holy
Oh
shit,
man,
she
yeah,
knows how to she
yeah.
knows how to do this. She knows how to write like
Somebody with
this.
an English
Damn.
degree is over there going, "Oh wow," you
Yeah.
What is this?
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure I actually learned more from obsessively studying The Lord of the Rings than was even in the curriculum. But
Fair.
It was 8th grade. They basically it's like a holding pen for the youths to discover how
Yeah,
to be civilized.
right. And what are you drinking tonight, Jane?
I have. I need to open this. I have some cider. It's local cider,
Oh, nice.
Finn River. So it's it's
That's very
it's a
wood
very
elf of you.
wintry one too. And I was thinking, oh, it's almost spring. This isn't very seasonal. But then it snowed a ton this week. So
It started snowing here today. A little
yeah,
bit.
we do like one snow event a year, and everyone freaks
Mm,
out, and we're
yeah,
trapped in our houses. And
yeah.
What part of the country you in?
I am in Port Angeles, Washington.
Washington. It
Ooh.
snows in Washington. I thought it only rained in Washington. I know
It
nothing of
rains as
America, though.
well. We don't get much snow. I'm above 500 feet though, so we get a fair amount. I'm on a
Gotcha.
mountain. I basically live on a mountain. My town is
Oh,
right in
nice.
between the Strait of Juan de Fuca. So we have the beach right there, and then the mountains in Olympic National Park are on the other side. I'm actually like literally I live next to the national park.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
That's awesome.
it's pretty cool. It's a fun place. It's a small town though, so
Nice.
it's a little isolated.
So I am going to go over just because, like, I always forget every time I do these. I wrote down the actual drinking rules. There
Oh,
are there is a game that we and people listening can play. So these are the reasons that we just will randomly stop to drink altogether. We drink
oh.
for Finrod / Findorato mentioned. By the way, the game doesn't happen right now. This is just explaining it.
Yeah.
So Finrod Findorato is mentioned. That's a drink. Finwë Nola Finwë or Fingolfin. That's a drink. Nelio Finwë Maitimo Rusandol Maidros. He's mentioned. That's a drink. Fuck Thingol or Singolo or Elwë or Sindiculo. Any of those names. That's a drink. If Athrabeth is mentioned, that's a drink. If Shibboleth is mentioned, that's a drink. If Otta Finwë is mentioned, that's a drink. Gandalf loving hobbits, that's a drink. And if Faramir is mentioned, that's a drink. This list keeps getting longer and longer. So maybe
Yeah.
we'll add to it today.
It's gonna get more and more dangerous.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be within the first like
Well, shouldn't
10
poor
minutes of
Frodo
these,
be on
everyone's
that
gonna be
list?
maybe after this it will be. You
Uh-huh.
know what? For this
Yeah.
episode, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm gonna add it right now. That's a good call. I'm writing it now, right now in my Red Book of West March notebook for Frodo.
Pretty soon that list is gonna be so long you can't even introduce yourself without,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
And speaking of for Frodo, that
Oh.
is what we're doing today. We are going to talk about how Frodo is actually an amazing character, and it's really upsetting to all of us to see. That's all of us who the three of us who are here talking.
Mm,
I'm sure there are people who are listening who may also feel the same. But
mm,
whenever I know when I see things on social media about people making fun of Frodo or calling him whiny or he's weak or any of those things makes me really upset, especially when people pull out the message or I'm sorry, the letters of Tolkien and we'll say him's the chief hero and we're gonna get into all that. So without further ado, for Frodo. And that is a drink, everyone. And with that, Jane, feel free to take it away. Oh, I'm drinking mulled wine, by the way. Jane, take it away.
yes. Yeah, I see lots of engagement bait on social media that is insulting our dear Frodo. And it is very upsetting to me because, of course, Frodo is the center of the book, not just the main character, but it's sort of ethical and moral center.
Mhm.
And we get, of course, to the end. If you don't want to take my word for it, you can take Aragorn's word for it. You can take Gandalf's word for it because the Field of Cormallin, who do they honor? They honor Frodo because Frodo is the hero of the story. He's kind of like a difficult hero for a lot of folks, and I've been thinking kind of why people find Frodo unconvincing. And if you view the Lord of the Rings kind of in the context of the sort of fairy tales, folklore, mythology that precedes this type of story, and then the fantasy adventure tales that follow it. In that context of that type of literature, people are expecting certain archetypes to appear
Yeah.
and certain main characters. And I mean, if you read the books, Aragorn doesn't quite fit because Tolkien isn't really doing that, but Aragorn is a better fit. And if you watch the films, he's a very good fit indeed. And Frodo is not. Frodo is not a swashbuckling hero.
Right.
His heroism is quiet, and it's largely through his personal suffering that we see it,
Mm-hmm.
which is maybe a little harder for folks to fit into that box that you might have for hero. But it's worth challenging yourself if you do see or have a difficulty with this, because um, Frodo is a good role model for ordinary folks anyway. I'm not going to be picking up a sword. First of all, they're very heavy, but also because I'm basically a little hobbit person. However, Frodo's journey and the things that Frodo does that make him heroic are things that regular people can choose to do. I think Frodo is extraordinary. Obviously, Gandalf thinks Frodo is extraordinary because Gandalf sees Frodo's qualities better than Frodo sees his own qualities. But Frodo chooses to sacrifice a lot of time, and he chooses to sacrifice multiple times. The first sacrifice, when he learns what the ring is, he's horrified. He says, I'm not cut out for this type of thing. What am I supposed to do? I don't know if I can accept, but he does. But that first choice to leave the Shire is not, I'm going to go to Mount Doom and destroy this thing. It's, I'm going to get it to Rivendell and somebody else will figure out what to do with the problem from there.
Yeah.
But he's still not thinking he's going to be able to return to the Shire. So he's giving up. He's 50. He's got an excellent house. He's got a big wine cellar. He's got friends. He likes going for walks in the woods. His life is actually really good. And once he thinks about leaving, he realizes even more how excellent his life is. He's sacrificing all of that. And he does that so unhesitatingly. And as he's going through the Shire, even, he's thinking, how can I subject my friends to this danger that I have incurred? I can't bring other people along and harm them too. Obviously, they love him, and so they won't let him do that. But there's an act of sacrifice and of love for others that Frodo undertakes immediately, even not knowing the full scope of things. And then in Rivendell, he makes another sacrifice. He sacrifices everything essentially in that moment when he agrees to take the ring. Throughout the journey, as you're reading, especially in the Two Towers, when Frodo and Sam are journeying together, Sam is filled with this sense of like, we've got to get to the end, we're going to fulfill the task, we're going to get back home. And every time Frodo's like, well, I know, I mean, I don't think so. And Sam, it takes Sam all the way until they are almost to Mount Doom before Sam throws his cooking gear away, because Sam still believes that they're going to return. Frodo has been carrying not only the burden of the ring, which is a terrible burden to be carrying all the way from Rivendell, he's also been carrying the burden of knowing that he's going to die on the
Yeah.
quest. And so there's an enormous sacrifice. On Amon Hen, he sacrifices the security of guidance and companionship when he chooses to leave the Fellowship. And he does this out of love for them because he sees the corrupting influence of the ring on the group. Obviously, Boromir demonstrates that, but none of the others are immune either. So it's dangerous for him to stay with his friends. So there's a lot of sacrifices that Frodo makes continually, and he must reaffirm those sacrifices. So the sacrifice is like one big piece of why Frodo is heroic. And then the other part, which is also very difficult, is the way he treats Gollum, which is really essential because
Yep.
Gollum is in some ways the mirror of Frodo, but in other words, he's so corrupted, and Frodo sees through the evil to the person underneath and acts with mercy toward him. And Sam really struggles with that. Sam doesn't understand why Frodo treats Gollum the way he does because um, it's incomprehensible. Obviously, Gollum is so evil; he wants to kill them. He's a danger to have around. Sam finds him personally unpleasant. And so Frodo's merciful acts toward Gollum are really puzzling to Sam. And he doesn't get to the same place until right at the end. Too late, actually. And I was just reading Letter 146. It's the one where Tolkien talks about Frodo role and in the quest, and that he failed, but that he also succeeded essentially.
Oh,
And he says
246?
146,
It's
letter
146?
146. Yeah, I think it is 146. Maybe it's 246. It's
Go get my
it's
book.
something 46. I'm bad with numbers.
Oh no, it's all good. It's all
246.
good.
It is
Because I was
246.
actually while you were talking, I was slowly opening to letter 246.
Yeah, 246 is what I meant. I just am
Oh,
not a
okay.
number person.
Yep.
Yeah. And Tolkien says in this that he thinks that if Sam had been able to be more merciful toward Gollum and had understood what Frodo was doing, that Gollum in the end would have been redeemed, and that out of love for Frodo, he would have thrown himself voluntarily into the cracks of doom.
Yep.
So, as far as Tolkien understood his own characters, and of course, the author's word is not always the last word, but as far as Tolkien understood his characters, Frodo is heroic for the reason of the sacrifice, and also because he understands the importance of mercy. And you see this not just with Gollum, but in that last interaction Frodo has with Saruman and with Wormtongue during the scouring of the Shire. And Frodo is merciful to Saruman, even though he does not deserve it. And Frodo knows he doesn't deserve it, but that's not what mercy is for. Mercy is not something you deserve. And then toward Wormtongue too, who is really a pitiful character, actually. Obviously, he's treasonous, but his life he's like a dog to Saruman, and Frodo does attempt to give him an out, which he doesn't take. But at that point, Frodo has really grown in stature from sort of humble hobbit to someone wise and something else. He's got that interesting
Frodo's such a
quality.
powerful character in the Scouring of the Shire, like refusing to pick up hold the sword ever again, and
Yeah,
kind of just being like the emotional anchor and the, I don't want to say stoic, but like he's a little stoic. He's so steadfast in his convictions, especially at the very end after the ring is destroyed and they get home and he sees what's happened to his, and he tells Sam and Merry and Pippin, like, no killing of other hobbits if you can help it. I understand
yeah,
that there may be death, but we need to try to not kill other hobbits, even if they've gone over to the other side. Like the message that Frodo heard from Gandalf, the some that live, I'm sorry, some that die deserve life, many that live deserve death. Can you give it to them, Frodo? Do not be too eager to deal out death and judgment, for only the very wise can see all ends. Frodo took that and placed that so far into his heart that it became a part of him, which I think is incredible. I
and it's
also
like
happen to
this
be wearing a
piece of
shirt where Gandalf says, all we have
yeah.
to decide is what to do with the time that is given us.
Yeah, and of course Frodo is this important figure too in this. When you're dealing with a conflict, the fighting is the easy part. It's the reconciliation that is difficult, and engaging in sort of getting carried away by the violence, stepping into that role, and even that is like a piece of Mordor that you carry with you, right?
Yeah.
But rejecting that makes the reconciliation easier. It makes it more possible to heal afterwards. And of course, Mary says, dear Frodo, you can't just, be sad and fix the problem or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And Frodo isn't a very active participant, but but his role is quietly important.
Yeah.
My brain goes off in tangents. So I'm thinking,
No, hey, listen,
the end of
I'm
the American
neurospicy. I
Civil
get
War.
it.
Here's a super, super wide tangent. The end of the American Civil War, there was a lot of call for mass executions, for vengeance, right, once the war was won. And Lincoln was very steadfast in his belief that there must be forgiveness for reconciliation. And so a lot of people were forgiven. Maybe they didn't deserve it. And who knows? I mean, you can look at history now and say, well, how could things have been different? But those are counterfactuals that we can never prove. But nevertheless, there are figures in history who've understood the importance of forgiving and how important it is to not kick your enemy when they're down, not to go too far. If the violence taints you, it taints the process of peace as well.
Yeah. And
Oh, for
also,
Frodo.
oh, for Frodo, let's take a drink.
Frodo.
Also, in letter, I have a couple other letters bookmarked because I made a video on TikTok about this when someone was being very rude about Frodo. Letter 192. If you have the what is this? The revised and expanded edition of Tolkien's letters. It's on page 363 toward the bottom. It says, Frodo deserved all honor because he spent every drop of his power and will and body, and that was just sufficient to bring him to the destined point and no further. Few others, possibly no others of his time, would have got so far. I mean, that right there says a lot
Yes.
because it's true. Frodo did spend a lot of his energy and his mind to just move the ring across the continent. I also, oh, there goes my bookmark. I have, see, that time I remember the word bookmark. Also, this one is 181. It's on page, I gotta see which part of it was. Okay, so this is page 339 from letter 180. What did I say, 181? Yeah, 181. Frodo was in such a position, an apparently complete trap. A person of a person of greater native power could probably never have resisted the ring's lure to power for so long. A person of less power could not hope to resist it in the final decision. Already, Frodo had been unwilling to harm the ring before he set out and was incapable of surrendering it to Sam. So, like, that right there is going to tell everyone everything they need to know about, like, well, anybody could have done what Frodo did. No, they couldn't. They absolutely could not have. There's also Sam was, this is from letter 246, which you were reading earlier on page 464.
Yeah.
This is just turning into a lecture right now, but whatever. Sam was cocksure and deep down a little conceited, but
The lecture is needed.
yeah, but his conceit had been transformed by his devotion to Frodo. He did not think of himself as heroic or even brave or in any way admirable, except in his service and loyalty to his master. That had an ingredient, possibly inevitable, of pride and possessiveness. It is difficult to exclude it from the devotion of those who perform such service. So basically, like, that's another point of why Frodo was the only one who was able to do what he did, because Sam, it points out, was doing he was along for the quest, on the quest, for the love of Frodo, not because he loved the Shire and wanted to save the Shire, and do everything he could in his power. That was purely Frodo, that you were talking about earlier with his sacrifice. Um, so
Well, there's also a part in that same letter, right? Like where he talks, and I'm just skimming it, like
mhm,
where it says, "I do not think that Frodo's was a moral failure."
right,
Right,
yeah, yeah,
and then in that same paragraph, he goes on, his humility with which he began, and his sufferings were justly rewarded by the highest honor. Hold on, wait. Oh, there it is. Frodo had done what he could and spent himself completely as an instrument of providence, and he had produced a situation in which the object of his quest could be received. Here it is. His humility with which he began and his sufferings were justly rewarded by the highest honor.
yep,
So, like, people want to talk about Sam. Sam would have started off the quest out of his love for Frodo, right? Out of his, not his love, and Frodo started it off as his love for Middle Earth and like
yeah,
everybody involved, right? Like he was
mm-hmm,
worried about the suffering of everyone.
mm-hmm,
And so he took on this burden that really kind of wasn't his, right? So
mm-hmm,
it was a, the same way that the mercy of Bilbo protected Bilbo from the ring a little bit.
yes,
Frodo's, like you mentioned earlier, Jane, his self sacrifice and willing to do it for everyone kind of let him even have the perseverance to get to Mount Doom,
mm-hmm,
you know? And so I think that's another thing that because Sam's can I say obsession with Frodo would
His
have been
obsession. You're not
completely
wrong.
corrupted by the ring, right? Would have
Yep.
been completely corrupted by the ring. And so, like, so it's easier to, because that's what the ring does. I mean, duh, it's going to weasel in however it can.
Yeah.
How do you weasel into somebody's love for the world around them in general? How do you, how
I
do you
mean,
corrupt, you know?
it still did, and it still
It still
did.
did. Yeah, yeah, no, it can. It's just, it's going
Yeah.
to give this kind of his reluctance to do it, but understand he's the one that's got to,
Yeah, it's
like,
that
does
reluctant
it.
hero thing that helped out.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
also, you bring up a really good point about the way the ring acts, and this is a fundamental problem in adapting this story to film. Is when you have to make the ring akin to a drug, because to some people it can be, but it's not that way to everybody. It
Yeah.
acts on your like your willpower, who you are as a person. The reason that you may end up possessing it has a direct effect on how it affects your character. The reason Gollum is so fucked up is because he was a little shit to begin with. When he sees the ring, he's already a bad person. And he sees the ring and he goes, fuck, I want that. I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. That's his cousin.
Right.
That's his
Yeah.
cousin. He's like,
Yeah.
fuck this guy, I'm killing him.
And they're
Um,
fishing.
and they're
Right?
fishing.
They're
Right,
just
exactly.
hanging out, you know?
Bro's got your exact same
Yeah.
name besides one letter, and you're gonna be like,
Yeah.
you know what? I like that
Fuck
ring
'em.
better. Fuck him, I'm killing him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when he's a small shriveled thing, like to begin with, and so like then the ring kind of just makes him more that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The smallness of his mind just gets narrower and darker, and eventually he
Yeah.
like can't even stand light at all. He has to crawl underground. And
Like even the moon he doesn't like.
yeah, he doesn't.
Mhm.
Well, the moon is lovely, isn't it?
I like the moon. Gollum hates the moon.
The pale
Curse it and
face.
beats it. Yeah, the pale face. And then I can't remember which one of you brought it up. I haven't even had that many to drink yet. We were talking about, I think it was Jane, talking about Frodo's I'm sorry, not repentance, but Frodo's mercy towards Gollum, and how Sam almost messes, not almost, Sam does mess up that repentance. That, when I first read The Lord of the Rings when I was a kid, that passage struck me so much because of how beautifully written it is, how Tolkien describes Gollum crouched over Frodo, holding his hand and just stroking him. And he looks like an old withered hobbit. And it's one of the most beautiful passages. And it says he looks up at the pass, like he's looking up towards Shelob's lair, and like I think it says like a light flickers past his eyes. It's not a green light because the green light is Gollum, but like it's, I don't know if it's a tear or something. And then the minute Sam wakes up and sees it and yells at Gollum, Smeagol, the green light comes back, and there goes the
Yeah.
repentance. Like right there, he fucked everything up. And that's the thing. One of the hardest things about talking about this, like Sam versus Frodo thing, because first of all, there should never be a Sam versus Frodo. They worked together, they
Right.
loved each other, which is why I can't stand the part in the film where Frodo sends him away, because he would never do that. And also,
Yeah, that's
Wrong.
Sam would
disgusting.
fucking
Yeah, that's
Sam
like
would never listen.
one of my two main bitches about this show. Like, did you even read the books? And you're
Yeah,
writing this shit, and so
yeah. It's such a manufactured melodrama. It pisses me
Mhm.
off every time. I fast forward through it. Um, I just want to superimpose Sam in walking in behind him into Shelob's lair, and then running with Frodo too. It would look so awkward. I
And I
feel like
love
maybe we
that the
should do that
scene
now.
in Theodulf's Lair when they're walking hand in hand,
Yes.
like it's so unsettling. It's honestly low. Like that book of the Two Towers is just like excellent from beginning to
Yeah.
end. It's just
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. But like
Mhm.
that scene, it's so unsettling, so creepy. They're
It really
holding
is.
hands and like holding their hands out, and they can't reach this. And just like it's dark and the
Oh,
gaps in the
they've got
wall,
the,
and it's
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah,
creepy.
exactly. They're
Yeah.
feeling along the wall to like guide them, and every once in a while there's this huge crevice or gap or whatever. Yeah, creepy.
And of course, it's like totally unfilmable because it is completely dark. It is darker than
Well,
darkness should be.
so here's the thing. They did. I feel like the Fellowship movie did really good with the lighting in Moria, and then Shelob's
Mhm.
lair looked like the
Mm-hmm.
moon was shining in. And I understand.
It was
I don't
weird and
personally
creepy.
think. Yeah, I don't personally think Shelob had like a cave like they made it seem like in the film, but she had her unlight webs woven above her, and like you could film that, you could make it look like that.
Yeah.
Plus
Yeah,
Mordor,
let's
and then they
see.
get to Mordor, and Mordor is like bright as day because, like, yeah, I get it, volcanoes, lava is bright, but like, I don't know, that's a whole different conversation. I just don't like how the lighting was in those two places.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I know what Mordor looks like now because we've had enough forest fire seasons.
Yeah,
And that is deeply unsettling. Like there's some atavistic like part of your mind that's like danger, danger, hide, like
hmm
forest
Right.
fire. Um, so now I'm like, oh yeah, that must be what Mordor looks like and how it would feel too. Very
yeah,
unsettling. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't know. There's some parts of the book where I'm like, well, is this movie material? But I think like in terms of Shelob's Lair getting like the way it is, Peter Jackson is a monster movie guy.
Yeah.
Like he loves monster movies. That's his thing.
hmm
And I can understand that everyone has their own fun things that they love. I don't like monster movies personally. And
hmm
also I do not think that The Lord of the Rings is a monster movie. But like
except
there's
for
a
except for
lot
Shelob and the Fell Beast and the
but
Watcher in the
like
Water
but
and the
like Shelob is
trolls and
creepy, but like I think like his affection for like monster design and like showing off the cool monster and it being grotesque and a monster, like kind of got in the way
well,
sometimes
he kind
of
of
the
messed up with
story.
that. Yeah, he kind of messed up with that with Shelob because he had the opportunity to follow closer to what it says in the
Eh,
book. Like she's got a
you can have more
neck.
drinks, it'll be an excuse.
Yeah, yeah. She's got a neck and a beak, and like he just straight up made her a spider. It's she's a creature in spider form. She isn't specifically a spider. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, spiders creep me the fuck out. But although, well, the first time I saw the trailer for the Return of the King, and she like comes around the corner, she's like, "Ow." I freaked me out. I was like, oh god, I don't like that at all. So I mean, it
It's
worked.
actually
It worked.
scary. It's definitely scary. I was like this.
Yeah, it definitely worked. And like the weird mouth thing that she had, which looked
Yeah.
like it was almost reused from The Watcher in the Water, but like just like reshaped slightly. Go back
Yeah.
and watch Shelob coming at the camera, like biting, and then go watch The Watcher in the Water, and they have very similar mouths. Sorry, we're supposed to be talking about Frodo. For Frodo.
It's all right.
Drink.
Yeah, for Frodo.
What what's everyone's favorite Frodoism or like thing that Frodo does that may not be, I mean, obviously like not taking the ring to Mordor because that's the whole book.
Okay, so when Frodo moves out of Bag End,
Yeah.
he leaves the washing up for Lobelia.
Yeah, that I love the
Yeah.
petty. I love
That's
the petty.
it's such a chip off of Bilbo too, because when Bilbo
Mhm.
leaves and he leaves the letters for Frodo to deliver to people, and they're just like the shittiest letters. They're just backhanded
They're
compliments. They're not
so
even compliments.
snarky.
Yeah.
Oh, the poor
Oh
young
man.
hobbit lass who gets the mirror.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
What about you, Scott?
yeah.
Oh man.
Do you have one?
I mean, I am generally speaking like a big story arc kind
hmm
of like that's how my brain kind of looks at stuff. Like I like the minutia and the specifics and things like that a lot. Like that's fun for me. But when I
hmm
think about characters and stuff like that, like I think a lot about the whole thing, right? I like how kind of but I don't have a favorite photoism necessarily, you
hmm
know. Um, but yeah, it's hard to doing that to Lobelia is definitely legit. Any dig at the Sackville Baggins is I'm down for,
Yeah.
right?
Or Lobelia too, by the way. Like that end the end of the end of her story is like so sad. Like
Yeah.
her husband dies and then she gets thrown in prison and then her
Though
son
she
gets eaten, which is
Mm.
messed up.
that is truly horrible. Yes.
Okay, I just make sure. Is that
No,
what
I mean,
Oh.
like, I always forget about like what the horrifying things that Saruman makes Wormtongue do, and it's just like,
yeah.
oh,
Mm.
it
I mean
got really dark there.
yeah, it's implied, but it's not like, and I don't think he even made Wormtongue do that. I think he just starved Wormtongue, and then Wormtongue was desperate and was like, fuck it, I'm eating a person.
I really think you did make Wormtongue is like so totally his creature that like
Yeah.
his will because he can't run away. He's miserable. He doesn't.
hmm
If he had any capacity to run away at all, he would, and he just keeps following. That last act of desperation he does eventually make is like
Yeah,
that.
when he
That's all he's
lashes
got
out,
in
yeah.
him.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah, Wormtongue. Damn, I mean, like there are a lot of bad people in these books, but like Wormtongue really gets more of a comeuppance than maybe he even deserves.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think you're right, spot on with that. Like, yeah, he's a sniveling little bitch, but to have been made to eat another person,
Yeah, that's pretty awful.
yeah, to the
Yeah,
point where like the only thing you can do is when you're offered the chance to like be free of Saruman is you like can't even do that. You have to like jump and slit his throat. Like that's fucking crazy.
yeah.
Um,
Obviously, Wormtongue didn't want his life anymore, and then you can't really blame him for that. But
yeah. I don't know if I'd be able to live with myself if I had to eat someone. I mean,
yeah, that would be.
yeah.
People have done
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, there's that movie Alive from like the
Yeah.
early 90s with Ethan Hawke.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
but you were gonna say something, Scott, about something about Frodo.
I do like how Frodo sticks to his like how the violence they all experienced along the trip. I like how seeing that kind of affected them in the scouring of the Shire, right? Because they've been off fighting big people
Hmm.
and huge things and ginormous things, and then they get back and it's a washed up wizard and his minions, and they're like,
Hmm.
let's fuck them up. Like they're like whatever, and how and but like
The way Pippin just like rolls in, Merry and Pippin just roll
yeah,
in, and they're like, "What
dude.
up, motherfuckers?" Pippin's
Yeah,
like, "Hold on, I'm gonna go get my posse over in Tuckborough. I'll
yes.
be back."
Yeah. I
Yeah,
love that part was so awesome. They're like, and I think at that point they also kind of realized what they had been through a little bit also,
Yeah,
in this like they knew of course, but I mean like they realized the impact of what they had been through
yeah,
and all of them. And like again, back to Frodo, like how he's just like, I just the burden of the ring and all that stuff. Because I think he probably would have reacted much like the other hobbits had he not been carrying the ring and the toll that takes on him. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
maybe,
I
probably.
mean, I'm just
maybe.
saying, like,
He's
if
a
he
little
didn't,
older too, so
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, if you weren't
old
mentally
middle-aged hobbit.
screwed, if you weren't mentally screwed from carrying that burden, like maybe you would be a little more like fighty. I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean Tolkien.
his character's not a like he's not a scrap. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right.
but I do like how
Except for when he gets that orc chieftain through the door in
right.
Moria.
But I do like how he understands the value of his presence,
Hmm.
right, and how he understands that
Yeah.
can be
I mean,
just as effective.
yeah, Tolkien does say that like his mind was broken by demonic pressure. Like
Right.
that's not entirely verbatim, but he does say his mind was broken. He does say something about it because of demonic something.
Yeah,
It's
and you're
called
just kind of done.
what
I
yeah,
mean, like
Sauron's
you
influence
just be
demonic.
done. You
Yeah,
just be done. And
like his mind
so
was straight up broken.
yes,
So like I get like it's kind of sweet. Like why Bilbo and why Frodo get to go to the Undying Lands. Like we know
yes,
that. We know especially Frodo. Like it's a huge reprieve for him.
hmm
Bilbo, it's a thank you. Sam gets it as a thank you, but Frodo fucking needed that shit.
yes,
Yes, he got stabbed by the Morgul blade. Yes, he got stung by Shelob in the neck, not in the gut. Um, not through his mithril shirt. Um, but yeah, Frodo straight up needed that. Like
yes,
he's super needed to go get some undying therapy. Like that's what that
hmm
would have been for him. Is just straight up like therapy on a beautiful beach. Good God, I want that.
yeah, yeah,
That'd be
yeah.
amazing. He would have been
hmm
frail as fuck by the time Sam got there if he was still alive. Because there is
yeah.
that
It's hard
talk
to
about
know.
how yeah, there
Yeah.
is that talk that Tolkien talks about how the Undying Lands work for mortals, the mortals who are allowed to go there. It does say something like they don't really last long or very long there. I
Yeah,
can't remember the exact wording of it.
but yeah, it's like too much intensity of life
Yeah.
almost. It just like burns him out.
Right, exactly. So I don't even know if Frodo would have been alive when Sam went back there. I mean, it's like a nice, cute little thing to think, like, oh, that would have been awesome for them to have a reunion, but also like Frodo's 50, Sam's 38, and also Frodo like had all that shit happen to him,
Yeah.
and he goes to the Undying Lands where like his life would speed up technically, I think is how it works. I'd have, like I said, I'd have to double check.
Yeah, or like wear out quicker. But then you wonder like what is the influence of having had the ring, and
Yeah.
it has a transformative effect. So
Yeah, but he only had it for 17, 18 years.
yeah, although it's interesting, like when Gandalf returns, like by that point, people are like, "Wow, Frodo's also looking really young. Like this isn't fair."
That's true. That is true.
So
That
it's
is
having
true.
some
But
effect on him, and the fact that he doesn't use it, he's just got it. He doesn't even know what it is. And then when
Hmm.
Gandalf's like, "Oh, go ahead and destroy it," then, and Frodo can't even bring himself to try.
Oh yeah,
Like,
when he tries to throw it in the fire, and
yeah,
he
it's
like goes to
like
throw, and his hand stops.
yeah, he's like, oh wait, no, it's not something I can get. Like he's presumably not been handling it too much or using it. Like Bilbo was using it. Bilbo was more of a trickster than Frodo. Bilbo was
Yeah,
out, you know.
and even Bilbo used it sparingly. It says even
Yeah,
he used it sparingly.
but
but even when the
yeah, they
ring
might need
left
to.
him, I'm sorry. Look, when the ring
Oh.
left Bilbo, he aged quicker,
Hmm.
Mhm.
and so maybe when the ring is destroyed, it might have caught up a little bit to Frodo. Plus, like you said, I mean, good
Well,
lord,
it catches up to Bilbo. It
yeah,
says that
yeah,
Bilbo looks like really, really, really old. I
yeah.
mean, he's 131 when they go to the Great Havens and the Undying Lands
Yeah.
Yeah,
because it's 17 years from the time Bilbo leaves to go to Rivendell and when Frodo leaves to go to Rivendell, and then it's 13 months from the time Frodo leaves till the ring is destroyed. It's 2 years later after that that they go to the Grey Havens to go to the Undying Lands. I don't know why I know that. It's a specific timeline. It's not like I look at the Tale of Years a lot or anything, try to figure out when things happen, or have Don Marshall's calendar right in front of me. Not that it says that because I think it's September. It's like right after their birthday that they go. They might even be
Mhm.
on their birthday. I can't remember.
yeah, it's in there.
Well, let's go to the Tale of
On
Years
the
and find out because
22nd. I
now
mean, hey,
Oh
yeah.
no.
I'm gonna double check real quick. All right,
Well,
Appendix B, everyone.
mhm.
The Great Years. Well, so they were in 2020, no, 3021. Frodo and Sam. So September 21st, Frodo and Samwise set out from Hobbiton. The 22nd, which is Frodo and Bilbo's birthdays. They meet the last riding of the Keepers of the Rings in the Woody End. The 29th, they come to the Grey Havens. Frodo, Bilbo depart overseas. Yeah, so a week after their birthday, in 3021, they sail to the Undying Lands. Because 3019 is the War of the Ring. So 2 years after that.
Yeah.
Oh,
What you looking up, Jane?
Oh, I'm just staring at the book in just like mesmerization or something.
So before we started recording, you said you have all these tabs marked. What do you have marked in your book? I'm curious.
Well, no, I mean, I was just thinking about Frodo today, and so I just like went through really rapidly and like flagged every moment with Frodo that I thought was awesome. And then it ended up being way too many things because Frodo is the main character of the book, and so
Yeah.
he appears a lot.
Go to the
And
index, look up Frodo. He's on almost every page.
yeah, well, there's whole sections where
That's not
he's
entirely
just,
true.
you know, when I was a kid and I was reading this, I loved Frodo so much. When I
Hmm.
got to the Two Towers and it starts out and there's
Oh
no
yeah.
Frodo, I was mad. I
Book
was like,
three
what is
is
this
not
nonsense?
Sam and
I don't
Frodo.
care
Yeah.
about Rohan. I don't care about Aragorn. I just want to know what's going on with Frodo. Give me more Frodo. And then I thought Tolkien had killed Frodo. And so obviously it was
You
very
had a
disappointing.
roller coaster of a time reading The Lord of the Rings, didn't you?
Well, and you know, it was completely like I didn't have any pre-impressions of it at all. So
Yeah.
like, but it was only when I reread more that I actually was like, oh, I like the other characters.
Yeah. Did you mark the spot at Weathertop where Frodo actually lunges at and tries to stab the Witch King?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
yeah.
That's a pretty good moment. Although actually the one
Gets his
in
cloak.
the
Gets his cloak, but he wouldn't have because if
yeah,
he stabbed him then he would have been susceptible to being killed, and Aragorn could have killed him and would have robbed Eowyn of her thing. But he does get the cloak. Frodo does get the cloak because at
he
this point he's got the
does.
blade of Westerness. He does not have. He's got the barrow blade made
Yeah,
by the men of Westerness.
he doesn't have Sting yet.
Yeah, but he
No, and
does. He does.
that
He like
moment in the
dives.
Barrow
He
Downs.
dives out of the way. And he swings at the Witch King. He gets his cloak. What were we saying
Yeah,
about the barrow? The barrel
Well, the
scene.
Barrow Downs, I mean, that's a great Frodo moment. He like
Yes.
literally
Mhm.
contemplates running away. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's woken up, everybody else is being sacrificed. And he's
It's a
like, I could
messed
get
up.
out of here. And
It's a
then he's
messed up
like, no, I
tableau.
can't do it. And he
And then
imagines like
this
explaining
hand
to
comes in.
Gandalf,
Yeah.
oh, Gandalf, sorry, I couldn't do anything about it. I just had to.
Right. That's a fun sitcom what if right there.
Gandalf finds Frodo back at the Shire. Where's everybody else? Oh,
No, 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 man.
what are you talking about?
Did you get rid of the ring?
Sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Wait a
I
minute,
don't
what'd
know
you do
where
with
it
it?
is, man.
Yeah, what'd you do with it?
Somewhere.
Hmm?
Huh?
What
You know, I
ring?
threw it in the.
What do you
I
mean?
threw it in the thing, in the deal, the thing.
I gave
threw
it to
there. Yeah,
Bombadil. I gave it to Bombadil. You did
Bombadil.
what?
Mhm.
And then
Who
I don't
knows
know
where
if
it's-
I don't know if either of you follow Bree Bird on
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
socials. If you had seen her son did that comic of what if Bombadil had been given the ring and he called it the Tom of the Ring or whatever. And it like that's exactly what would happen too in that scenario. Like
Yeah.
in my mind, it was Frodo telling Gandalf that, Gandalf flipping out, and then just goes to Bree's kids comic. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was imagining that too. I was like, oh, yep, Tom.
Yeah. He's just like by the withy window, just singing. And he drops the ring, and then he decides he wants to get up and dance, and dances away, and then it just zooms in on that mushroom where the ring's at.
Yeah,
And
the
cuts to
mushroom
black.
is going to be really intense.
Yeah, yeah. That mushroom, the Dark Lord, the dark fungi.
Spreading
Oh
its
man,
influence.
I love when everything derails here. Oh, what other things did you mark? Did you mark them and not write what they were? You just marked it.
Yeah, I'm chaotic that way. This is how I study just generally, and then I'm like, oh, I've got a whole book that's full of Mount Fuji flags. I don't have any cute flags right now, but I do have kind of I had a collection for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's so many good moments. But honestly, like my favorite parts, I think the most. I mean, who wants to pick the most important part, right, of
Yeah.
the book? But Frodo's conversations with Faramir.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Faramir.
Oh, I talked a lot about. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Farmer mentioned.
well,
Talked a lot about him last night. This is gonna
They're
be
really.
dangerous. I'm hair of the dog in it right now.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, I'll try not to mention Faramir too many
Oh
times.
God.
God damn it.
But anyway, Boromir's brother.
Oh, that's
Why do
funny.
you pour it in the glass? Just
Just drink straight out of the
Do
jug.
it in the jug, man.
Listen, I'm not.
You were trying to embrace some kind of southern accent earlier like that.
Oh,
Let me tell
earlier
you how
today.
it works.
Earlier
Let me
today,
tell
I
you
was
how that
on.
works.
Yeah.
Glasses are for suckers. You just pull off the bottle, man. Come on.
Yeah. So Jane, earlier today, I was doing a TikTok live just to pass some time, and me and Scott were talking. Well, Scott's Southern, so he hides his accent unless he's.
I'm from Texas. That's not the same thing as Southern.
It's
Sorry,
the
we
South.
make a distinction.
It's the South. That's
yeah.
Southwest, but whatever. And I've got family from Tennessee and Alabama and Mississippi, and so I just started talking like them earlier, and I kind of just slipped into it, and I couldn't slip out of it for a little bit.
Oh no.
And of course, I encouraged it.
Yeah, you did. I'd love to see. I'd love to see a Southern Lord of the Rings. There's someone on TikTok who does that though, but it's like a Western. I can't remember what his name is. It's really fun. If anyone finds it, send me that info because I cannot remember what that man's name is.
There's some group who does like a Southern Shakespeare stuff because like the Southern accent is supposed to be closer to what like people talked like during Shakespeare's time.
Yeah.
And so they do it with their Southern accents and it's really great.
Nice.
Yeah,
Send me that
but
too.
Yeah, but fair. Oh no. Oh
well,
no. I
well, you
said
did
it
it
again.
You did it.
I can't help it.
I mean, fuck always single though.
I was gonna make sure that one got in at the end.
Oh, okay. I mean, it's not like I'm reading the Athabeth next weekend for charity.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm sure Lee's gonna do the shibboleth.
Oh God.
Fucker.
I'm sorry. I'll stop. I'm
gonna need to refill my glass here. But those conversations, water would be nice. But
oh, you got water there too, just in case. Smart.
Yeah. Well, I might get thirsty from something else. And also I have these really cute like wine glasses with
Nice.
stuff
With
painted on them.
sunflowers.
Yeah, they're happy. So I
They're
had to
happy.
fill. The other one has
That's
cherry
very Bob
blossoms and
Ross of you.
butterflies.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Like, oh, because you said cherry blossoms?
Mhm.
Yeah, I want to
Sorry.
pick this up
They're
without
my
spilling all
favorite.
over myself. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
So when I was recording last night, I had water next to me. I drank it exactly one time, and that was in the very beginning when I showed everyone that I had water, and then didn't touch it again.
Mm.
I'm so smart. Remember to hydrate yourself, children, or
Yeah.
boys and girls, or even adults, because I'm an
Yeah,
adult.
that's
Yeah.
that's
Even
when the amateurs are
Frodo.
drinking. They don't know how to pace themselves. That little water in there, just
Yeah.
you know.
Even
Yeah.
Frodo remembered to hydrate.
Mm-hmm.
Even in Mordor.
They did try. They did their very best.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
God,
And
I
if they'd
could
had
not
a
imagine.
camelback, then they would have been. You know, Sam would be like the most excited person ever if he was in like a camping supply store.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, he would.
With like the little lightweight pots.
Oh my God, that's a fun
That all
skit.
fit inside of each other.
That's such a fun skit to
would
think about.
go batshit crazy. Like
Samwise
send
at camping store.
Yeah.
Sam into REI.
Oh my God, Sam and Aragorn go into a giant camping supply store. They would be enamored by everything.
But Aragorn would be like, I don't need any of this shit. You know? He would.
Yeah, but he would say that, and then Sam would be like, Strider, look at this.
Yeah,
And he'd be like, you know what? That's actually not a bad
he'd
idea.
find like a really badass like flint.
Like Sam converts Aragorn to being like, you could still be rugged and like enjoy
this
sleeping outside, but
granola,
like
this super granola.
he gets Aragorn into glamping and shit.
They're trying out a fancy backpack.
Yeah, exactly. The backpacks that have like the water bladder in them.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I was saying, with that camelback situation, you could really do better in Mordor.
Mm-hmm.
You can carry a lot of water.
Yeah, that would be really funny. I'd really like to see Sam after he's made the trek to Mount Doom, find one of those stores and be like, "Oh man, this would have been amazing to have."
Right?
Like so upset, like Mr. Frodo. Well, I guess it would have to been in the 2 years before Frodo leaves. Mr. Frodo, this would have been really good on our adventure to Mordor. I can't do a Samwise. I can't do a Sean Astin accent. I haven't tried. I'm not gonna do it. Like I'll just be Southern from. I can't even do that. I'm not in the mood right now. It's really easy when I'm like very, very like sluggish, like I was this morning from being super hungover. Yeah. This part of the episode, we're just gonna laugh about shit. It's not giggle. People who are listening are gonna be like, "The fuck is going on?" It's
what
just laughing.
The heck? No, it's just thinking about that nice trip to the camping store. Yeah. Oh, in my neck of the woods, it's easy to get the camping gear is everywhere, and we don't have.
Oh, I'm sure.
In town, we don't have like a department store. There's a Walmart, but it's outside of town, and then we've got a general store, which has everything you could need in it.
Nice.
But yeah, that's about it. It's remote out here, so.
Well,
I can get all sorts of stuff there. I can get all the things that Sam would want.
I wish we lived more remotely. That would be legit. But we are.
She does live on a mountain, so
yeah. Just its little toesies, though.
Oh, just a little. Oh, so you're not like. I can't make a Lord of the Rings reference. I don't know geography very well.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like I don't know. It's probably not that well.
Like in the foothills.
Yeah, it's in the foothills. Definitely in the foothills. We're really kind of cramped up against the mountains, though, so they're just like right there.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm just picturing like Switzerland or something.
Kind of looks like
the
that.
Alps.
It's very pretty. I'll post some pictures online. I sometimes do that, but yeah, it's very foresty. It's kind of interesting because like I was thinking frequently when I read Lord of the Rings, I hadn't seen the films. And I'm not sure the films like 100% agree with what I imagined for Middle Earth, but like they're really good. But like thinking about forests, I picture forests in a really particular way because I live surrounded by forests, but they're Pacific Northwest forest, which is very different than the type of forest that Tolkien would have seen. And I went to Great Britain in June this year.
Mhm.
And I got to walk in some woods there, and I was like,
Nice.
oh, this is what it's like huge beech trees, and just the sound of the wind in the trees, the smell of the woods. It's very, very different from here.
Yeah.
The other thing that always has made me laugh a little is like the hobbits, they're walking through the old forest and like they're trying to find their way out, and they're like, well, we'll just walk in this direction, we'll get there. Or like when they leave Bree, they walk through the Chetwood and then they get to the other side. And like my concept of forest does not include getting to the other side. Like
There's
when we
never
were
ending.
kids, and we went hiking, we're always told like if you get lost, just don't go anywhere, stay put, because you will just get more lost. Just wait
Yep.
for someone to find you. The quantity
Forestry
of
in
forest.
America they are vast in America. Like forests are no joke. My family has land in Tennessee, and it's got trees all over the place, and I'd get lost in there. And there's roads all over the place down there. I get lost so easily. I want to thank both of you for being here. This was really fun. We derailed a couple times, and I love when we do that. But in case anybody wants to continue the conversation or ask you guys any Frodo centric or any other kind of questions, where can people find you, Scott?
I am right now. I'm on Blue Sky and TikTok, both Clambering510. I might go back to the Instagrams. I'm not sure, but it's the same screen name there too. But yeah,
Nice.
that's where you can find me.
Nice. What about you, Jane?
I am on Blue Sky and Threads. On Threads, I am Jane Ellen 17, and on Blue Sky, I'm just Jane Ellen.
Very nice. Well, thank you both so much for being here. I know you're both out of your alcohol, but I will cheers and
I am out.
say Almien, which is Elvish cheers. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Tolkien on Tap. Thank you for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe and follow me on any of my social medias. I'm on Threads, Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at @the_Neej. Namarie.